Today we're talking about CCM 6, mean, median, mode, range, and outliers. Please make sure that you have a calculator handy when you start working these problems because you're going to need it, especially for the mean. Some vocabulary to go over. The mean is the average of a set of data. To find the mean, you're going to add all the data values together and divide by how many data values there are. So if there's 12 pieces of data, you're going to add them all up, hit enter in your calculator, then divide that sum by 12 because there were 12 data values. To find the mean, you do not have to have your data values lined up in order from least to greatest. They can be in any order as long as you make sure you use all the data values when you're calculating the mean. The median is the middle number in a set of data. Order the values from least to greatest and find the middle value. If there's two values in the middle, find the mean of those two values. So in this situation, to find the median, you are going to have to list your data values in order from least to greatest. Don't forget that part. The mode. The mode is the data value that occurs the most. Range. Range is the difference between the greatest and the least value. Difference in math means subtract. There can, that does not go there. But for range, just subtract the highest and the lowest data values. And then an outlier. An outlier of a data set is a data value that is much higher or much lower than the other values in the data set. We're going to go over all of these words. We're going to calculate mean, median, mode, and range and identify the outliers today. If you need a second to copy all this down in your notes, just press pause, and then when you're ready, press play, and we'll go through some problems together. Okay, problem number 1 says find the mean, median, mode, and range of the following, and it gives you a set of data. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of data. So to find the mean, we are literally going to pick up our calculator. We're going to type in all of these numbers. We're going to hit enter so we get a sum. Because your calculator knows order of operations, so if you don't hit enter at the end of adding all of these numbers up, then your calculator is not going to find the mean. It's going to do something else. So we enter all of our pieces of data in our calculator. What I like to do, since your calculator has a big screen, go back and count and make sure that you have 8 pieces of data typed in your calculator. Make sure that they are the numbers that are here on your paper. If you meant to put 8, but you accidentally typed 7 or something, go back and fix that before you do your problem. So I get 68 as my sum, and like I said, there were 8 pieces of data, so I'm going to divide, and that gives me 8.5. So the average data value in this set of data is 8.5. To find the median, we're going to take all of these numbers and put them in order from least to greatest. So I've got 4 and 5. Once you've written them down, cross them out on your paper. 7 and 8. So I'm going to cross them out. 9 and 9. 11 and 15. Again, go back through your data set and make sure you have 8 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That way you know you didn't forget about one. To find the median, we're going to find the middle number. There are many ways people do this. Some people like to use their hands or their fingers. Cover up the first and the last value simultaneously. So we're going to go to the greatest and the least. We're going to cover up the next greatest and the next least, and keep going until we get to the middle value. In our definitions, it said if there's two data sets, or if there's two pieces of data in the middle, we're going to have to find the average of those two pieces of data. Other people, instead of using their hands, they just use their pencil or marker and they just cross out the greatest and the least data values simultaneously until they get to the middle. So I'm going to take 8 and add it to 9. That gives me 17. And I divide by 2 because there's two pieces of data that I added together. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. In every situation, your data values, your measures of center are going to be different. This is just a coincidence that the mean and the median are the same value. The mode is the number that occurs the most. I noticed when I was writing them in order, my 9, I had 2 9s in my data set, so that is the mode. What I was going to say before is there can actually be more than one mode, or there can be no mode at all. So if there's no mode, that means all of the data, pieces of data, occurred the same amount of times. There could be more than one mode in a data set. Maybe here, if I had 2 9s and 2 11s, then I would have 2 modes. So it just depends on your data set. It will change each time you have a new set of data. The range is the difference between the highest and the lowest value. So it helps by putting the numbers in order to see the highest and the lowest value, but you can also just look at the original set of data. You don't necessarily have to put your data in order to find the range. It helps, but it isn't necessary. My lowest is 15. I'm sorry, my highest is 15, my lowest is 4. So when I subtract, I get 11. All right. Number 2, circle the outlier. So remember, the outlier was the piece of data that was much, much higher or much, much lower than all of the rest of the pieces of data. So I have 43, 69, 49, 78, 88, 54. They're all kind of in the same area so far. 73, 194, 54, 59, and 70. So that right there is my outlier. It's way higher than the rest of the pieces in the data set. I don't really have anything really, really low. So typically in a data set, you're only going to have one outlier. It's either going to be the highest or the lowest. Typically, you do not have 2 outliers, one high and one low. Normally, there's only one outlier in a set of data. All right, let's try one more. Number 3. Tony has a score of 89 on his first 3 science quizzes. The score on his 4th quiz is a 92. What does he need to score on his 5th quiz to have an average of 90? So it's really important that we read the question thoroughly, circle keywords. He has a score of 89 on his first 3 science quizzes. So that means he had an 89, an 89, and an 89. His 4th quiz is a 92. We don't know what he's going to score on his 5th quiz, but we know that he wants to have an average of 90. So the question is, what is he scoring on this last quiz? This type of question is a question finding the average or the mean, but we're kind of doing things in reverse here. Because I already know the average, I want to figure out the missing value. So I'm going to use what I know about mean, and I'm going to work backwards. So to find the mean, I would add up all of these numbers. 89, 89, 89, 82, nope, that's a 92. And my unknown. Remember from your algebra lessons, if you don't know what a data value is, you're going to insert a variable. Here, x is my variable. To find the average of something, I add all of the data values up and I divide by how many there are. In this set, there's going to be 5 pieces of data. I want all of that to equal 90. So now I'm going to simplify what I can control. So I can literally in my calculator type 89 plus 89 plus 89 plus 92 and simplify that piece. That's 359 plus what I don't know, what this person's trying to score on his 5th test. All that divided by 5 equals 90. So this looks a little bit simpler than all of this, which is good. At this point, I'm going to use my inverse operations to solve for my variable x. So here, all of this sum is being divided by 5. To get rid of or to undo division, I get to use multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. 90 times 5 is 450. So I have 359 plus x equals 450. My very last step is to subtract 359 from both sides. When you work that out in your calculator, you'll see that x equals 91. Always go back and make sure that your answer makes sense. He wants an average of 90. So far he's got 3 scores that are lower than 90, 1 score that's above a 90. So for his average to be a 90, he really is going to have to score higher than a 90 to still achieve his goal. So you could write out your answer. Tony will need a score of 91 to have an average of 90 for a quiz average in science. That's the full answer there. Because it's a word problem, you want to give all of the answer in a complete sentence. All right, I hope you did good with this. Followed along okay. If you didn't understand something, just rewind the video, rewatch it, see if it makes sense. If you are okay with everything, go ahead and move on to the next 3 problems on your worksheet. If you don't have a worksheet, you can copy down these problems and try them out on your own. When you're ready, press play and I'll do the problems on the board for you. Okay, so when you're finding the mean, median, mode, and range of the following, your mean is 51.4. Your median is 60.5. Your mode is none. And your range is 47. Make sure when you write mode, you specify that there is no mode or none. Please do not write the number 0 because 0 could be mistaken for the mode, for a piece of data. So just write none. Number 2, circle the outlier. Of course, the outlier in this problem is 12. It is much lower than the other pieces of data. And then number 3, Kara scored the following on her first 4 tests in health class. What does she need to score on the 5th test to get an average of 90? So you've got the 4 tests listed here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase these and use them as my workspace. So I'm adding all of her 4 tests plus what she's going to score on the 5th test, divide by 5, and we want that to equal an 80. Okay? We know that she can get an 80, that's possible, because she's gotten some numbers higher than an 80 and one number that's lower than an 80. So she can still get an 80, no problem. What we want to do is simplify the 4 tests that she already has, grades 4. And we get 321 plus the one that we don't know her score yet. All of that divided by 5, and that's our goal of 80, or that's Kara's goal of 80. To get x by itself, we're going to multiply both sides by 5, and that will equal 400. Subtract 321 from both sides. So you'll see that x has to equal a 76. So if she can do it, all she needs is a 76 on her next test, and she'll have a test average of 80 in health class. I hope you did okay on this. Please continue to watch the videos for more help on Unit 13 data.